For the first time since borders shut in March, Australia is about to start reopening to international tourism. Travellers from New Zealand will be allowed to visit New South Wales and the Northern Territory from mid-October without having to quarantine. But the arrangement isn't reciprocal, and Queensland has slammed the announcement, saying it wasn't brought up in National Cabinet. Here's political reporter Jade McMillan.
For Kiwis, Kakadoo's calling.
Fish are biting and the beers are cold.
From October 16th, the Northern Territory and New South Wales will be open to New Zealanders without the need for quarantine. They'll need to have spent the previous 14 days in New Zealand in an area not classified as a COVID hotspot, meaning there can't be more than 3 locally acquired cases per day over 3 days.
We want to open up Australia to the world. This is the first part of it.
I read the news.
Trans-Tasman bubble.
The ACT's open border with New South Wales should allow Bridget Bull's family in Christchurch to visit.
Really good news, really exciting. So we can come to you
Really fun.
for Christmas, maybe.
It does look like I was going to be an iPad on the end of a table.
But it's not so much a travel bubble as a one-way street. New Zealanders will need to quarantine on their return, and there's no date yet for when Australians can cross the Tasman.
In our view, we are not ready to have quarantine-free travel with Australia. They have a very different strategy to us.
The government says if those coming from New Zealand don't have to go into hotel quarantine, more spots will be freed up for Australians trying to get home from elsewhere in the world. It hopes that, and the prospect of extra tourism dollars, might pressure other states to sign up. To be included, they'll need to agree to the Commonwealth definition of a COVID hotspot. South Australia is expected to join next, but the state with the toughest rules isn't budging.
Eventually, of course, we will be able to do these sorts of things when the health advice says it's appropriate.
States that do open to New Zealand are being promised other benefits. Workers to help fill an agricultural labour shortage.
They can pick fruit, shear our sheep and fall in love.
The closest of friends getting friendlier. Jade McMillan, ABC News, Canberra.
So what is the likelihood of New Zealanders taking up the offer? Here's TVNZ reporter Imogen Wells with the perspective from across the Tasman.
Well, for New Zealanders itching to get over to Australia, today's announcement has of course been welcomed, but there is a bit of fine print to read. While they don't face quarantine when they arrive in Australia, when they come back to New Zealand, they do have to go through 14 days of managed isolation, and that comes at a cost around 3,000 New Zealand dollars. So it's not going to be a cheap trip, and it's going to be a little bit longer than perhaps they would have planned. You're more likely to see people coming over for months at a time, perhaps, to reunite with family and friends instead of those weekend getaways and little shopping trips. Today's announcement, though, has brought some optimism. It shows that trans-Tasman travel is possible. So hopefully New Zealand will be opening its borders to Australia sooner rather than later.